Hello and welcome to the Roy Rogers News Channel. Thank you so much for watching. And for today's PokeMMO ability video, well, we're going to dive into an ability that someone has written in my comment section about. So when I was doing the Mold Breaker video, someone asked me, hey Roy, how about skill link? I love using skill link. So for that person writing in the comment section, your wish has been granted. And with me now is a certain armadillo that I found in my backyard. Armadillo, which I say hello to everybody.
Hello.
Alright, excellent. And without further ado, Armadillo, are you ready to dive into the ability with skills?
Of course.
Excellent. Alright, we know you're a very skillful guy, so let's go and dive into the ability right now. So what is skill link? And that's a good question. Skill link increases the frequency of multi-strike moves. In other words, you basically have a guaranteed 5 hits. Now there is an exception to the rule. If the move is named double slap or dual chop, dual means 2, double slap, double 2, you cannot hit more than 2 times. So you got to keep that in mind when you're putting on the movesets for these Pokemon. So make sure that the move is not named double slap or dual chop and you should be good. Alright, and we're going to go ahead and dive into all the Pokemon that have the skill link ability. Before we do that, I would like to put out a brief prerequisite. And let me go ahead and note this right now. I don't plan on covering any pre-evolution, so you won't hear me say stuff about Shelder or Ambipom or Cinccino. I want to just talk about the evolutions because it is so easy to get to these evolutions. I mean, all you have to do is just either give the Pokemon a stone or teach a Pokemon a move, and you can literally have the evolution right at that level 20 threshold for when you begin a new region. Which, by the way, as a default maximum obedience level, everything is going to be set to level 20 when you start a new region. So that's the good news. You can have all 3 of these Pokemon in your story if you really want to. But we're going to go ahead and weigh the pros and cons of said Pokemon. So, Armadillo, are you ready to dive into everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Without further ado, let's go ahead and start off with Cloyster. One of the perks for Cloyster is that Cloyster has that really monstrous 180 defense stat. And why is that so good? Well, it's because Cloyster also has in its moveset Shell Smash. And what does Shell Smash do? It increases your attack, special attack, and speed by +2 while lowering down your defense and special defense by -1. And Cloyster can afford to do that because it has a base 180 defense stat. And we can talk briefly about special defense stat, which is actually one of its cons, but we can get into that a little later. Another benefit for Cloyster is that when you breed up the Shelder and you have the desired nature in the IV set, well then, you can use that Water Stone on Shelder, you can evolve that Shelder into Cloyster, and you literally get all wonderful moves straight from the offset. As an example, you get Shell Smash, you get Icicle Spear, and Spike Cannon straight from using the Water Stone. Now, Rock Blast and Pin Missile are TMs. Besides both of those exceptions, all 3 of those moves, Shell Smash, Icicle Spear, and Spike Cannon, you can get straight from using Water Stone when Shelder is at level 1. Cloyster has all these wonderful perks as well. And also, I should note that skill link is not a hidden ability, so breeding it is not really too expensive. Plus, Tentacle and Tentacruel are pretty plentiful. And if you want to find out other ways to catch Water Sea breeders, then feel free to check out my egg group video, which I can link down in the description below, or you can stay tuned and I can have it in an end card. So, stay tuned for that. Let's go and dive into the drawbacks for Cloyster. Let's go and start off with the fact that Cloyster is not really good at dealing with especially offensive targets. Let's just say that, for example, you are fighting against Volkner and Sinnoh, right? And Volkner has Jolteon. Yeah, I don't think that Cloyster is going to really enjoy that too much. So I would highly encourage you to run something like a Haxorus or Excadrill to kind of complement the Cloyster, because Cloyster is really going to need that extra type coverage. And another main drawback for Cloyster is that Cloyster may have a bit of some setbacks in terms of certain opponents that it deals with. Things that can withstand an Icicle Spear and a Twin Needle and a Spike Cannon. All you need is just something like a Steelix, and Cloyster is essentially looking at Steelix like, I can't take you on. you want to run something alongside with Cloyster that can take on the fights that Cloyster can't. Things like the Excadrill, things like the Haxorus. One more drawback here is that in-game there's no real stab water type multi-hit move as of the time of this taping. Cloyster can't really utilize its water typing. If you want to be able to hit something 5 times with a water type move, we don't have that in the game as of the time of this taping, but maybe in future gens we might have that, but for now we don't have that. Armadillon, do you have any commentary about our friend Cloyster?
For Cloyster, if you use Shell Smash, you can use a white herb to negate or restore the down stats that come from Shell Smash.
Well, that's more of like a PvP version of Cloyster. I'm talking more specifically about Story Mode, because Story Mode, you're going to be using those white herbs quite a bit, so you don't want to really do that if you don't have to.
Very true.
Out of the skill link video here, I would have to say that Cloyster is the best choice here, because the drawbacks are not really as bad as we really make it out to be. But it would be nice to mention the drawbacks for your sake, but I don't think the drawbacks are really as bad, because I think Cloyster is the best skill linker as the time of this taping. So, Armadillon, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I'd probably agree. The fact that it gets the attack boost and the speed boost from Shell Smash, and then it has I'd say a better move pool than the other two.
Yes, but since this is a skill link video and not Cloyster Praise Hour, we're going to go ahead and talk about the next 2 Pokemon. So let's go and start off with our friend Ambipom. Alright, Ambipom is back in the series. We talked about it with Young Cabbage, and we're going to talk about it here right now with Armadillon. So Ambipom's main perk is that it has that excellent 100 attack stat, and the fact that it has a stab tail slap, which hits really hard under the right circumstances. That implies that you teach the Ambipom Hone Claws, which essentially ups its accuracy. It should also be noted that Ambipom has an amazing base 115 speed stat, which allows for Ambipom to set up its Hone Claws. Also, I'd like to note that Ambipom has a very cheap egg group in the field group, so feel free to breed that to your heart's desires. But also there's another benefit as well, and that'd be the fact that Apom evolves into Ambipom if it learns Double Hit. And it learns Double Hit at level 32. All you do is just level it up 1 more level, and then it evolves into Ambipom. But make sure you have Double Hit in the moveset. So, I just want to note that. Now, you can shortcut that via going to the Move Relearner, the white-haired person in the Pokemon Center, and then teach Apom Double Hit, and all you need to pay the white-haired person in the Pokemon Center is 2 heart scales. And then you can evolve that Apom into Ambipom just before level 20, so you can be able to use it in the story mode. So enjoy using your Ambipom. Now, as for the drawbacks, it is a hidden ability, so it's going to be a little bit more expensive to breed for. And also, another thing I should note is that even though, yes, it's a field group, and yes, field group breeders are a bit cheaper than the average breeder, I would like to also note here that hidden ability Ambipom is a little harder to get your hands on as of the time of this taping, but it is manageable and you can get it done. And one more main drawback for Ambipom is that it lacks move diversity. So if Ambipom finds something like a Graveler or something like that, then Hone Claws and Tail Slap can only get you so far. You really need more moves. If Ambipom had things like Bullet Seed and all the other moves, then I wouldn't be complaining too much about Ambipom. But since Ambipom doesn't have that, hopefully Game Freak realizes their mistake and they start adding moves like Bullet Seed and other multi-hit moves to Ambipom's moveset, so Ambipom can be slightly better. Armadillon, do you have any commentary about Skill Link Ambipom?
No, I'd have to agree. And since Baton Pass doesn't work all that well in this game, you can't even use that on Ambipom.
Yeah, you have Home Claws and Baton Pass, but and I'm going to say this though. If you are looking for a hard-hitting normal type skill linker, then Ambipom is that through and through, just not with anything else. At least with Home Claws, it does increase Tail Slap's accuracy, which is good. And now I'd like to discuss the next Pokemon here, and it'd be Cinccino. A bit better than Ambipom. Let's go ahead and discuss some of its perks. So, if you breed to a Cinccino, you can use a Shiny Stone, and you can evolve that thing to Cinccino. And on day 1, you get Bullet Seed, Rock Blast, and Tail Slap in its moveset. And you can save the money on TMs and all that. So you can get a Shiny Stone, evolve it into Cinccino. You can get 3 moves from the offset. Oh yeah, and another one of its perks is that Tail Slap is stabbed, so you can be able to hit pretty hard with that. And also, Cinccino, just like Cloyster, has a base 95 attack stat, which is not too bad. I would also like to note that Cinccino has one notable difference between itself and Cloyster, and it'd be the fact that Cinccino has a base speed of 115, which is a lot faster than Cloyster's base 70 speed. And for context, this gives Cinccino a lot more time to set up. Now, that is the exact same speed set as Ambipom, but the only difference between Ambipom and Cinccino is that I feel like that Cinccino can utilize that 115 speed stat a lot better than Ambipom can. And let's go ahead and dive into some of its drawbacks, shall we? Really? Workup? That's the only thing Cinccino can learn? Workup? It doesn't have Sword Stance, it doesn't have Hone Claws. Nope, just Workup. That's a problem because Special Attack is useless on Cinccino. It is good for attack +1, but that's all you're really using Workup for. And it would be great if something like Cinccino can have Sword Stance. Otherwise, I would say that Cinccino and Cloyster can be really close to each other, but since Cinccino doesn't have Sword Stance, I mean, Cinccino is pretty far off on the list. I wish Ambipom's Hone Claws could be taught to Cinccino, but it can't, so Cinccino has that drawback. But also, another main drawback for Cinccino is this. Cinccino can only get skilling via hidden ability, so that's going to make it a little bit more expensive to get breeders for. But, at the same time, Cinccino does have access to Bullet Seed, Rock Blast, and Tail Slap, which makes it much better than Ambipom. But Cloyster still beats it out in my opinion. And just like Cloyster, Cinccino cannot handle things like Steelix and the like, so if you're going to deal against Steel types, you really need to run it with support, so that way Cinccino can be able to go by and knock out the Steel type trainers and leaders. So just keep that in mind when you're running the story with a Cinccino. Armadillo, do you have any commentary about that?
Nope. I think not having a good setup move, the Cloyster is still probably the best choice. Great Pokemon. I kind of want to try using it. I never have used it.
Cinccino or Cloyster?
Cinccino.
Yeah, well, I think Cinccino is not awful. It's decent, but that just lacks support. That's my view on Cinccino, and now you might ask me, hey Roy, so how would you rank these Pokemon for story mode? And that's a good question. Well, number 1, I mean, there's no real contention here, Cloyster. Cloyster just has so many things going for it. I mean, why would you even use the other skill link Pokemon in their current state? Cloyster is the best skill linker as of the time of this taping, and maybe Game Freak might adjust that as the years go by, and then PokeMMO might let us inherit those changes. But for now, Cloyster, I would say, is the best skill linker on PokeMMO. And now for second place, we have Cinccino. It has a really good move diversification, but it lacks the stat boosting moves. It only has Workup. Hopefully, as years go by, hopefully Game Freak gives Cinccino Sword Stance. That way someday PokeMMO can let us inherit Sword Stance, but that's just me. And now you have for Ambipom. Ambipom is third place because even though its attack stat is a lot higher than Cloyster and Cinccino, with base 100 attack, and it has the highest attack stat of all the Pokemon here, I would like to note that Ambipom in particular has a problem here, and the problem is that it lacks move diversification. That's the problem. It only has access to Tail Slap, which is pretty bad, considering the fact that even though, yes, Hone Claws does increase accuracy, and you can technically get 100% accuracy Tail Slaps with enough Hone Claws, the problem here is that that's all Ambipom can really do. Ambipom can't run Rock Blast, it can't learn Bullet Seed, it can't learn Icicle Spear, it doesn't have any move diversification at all, which puts Ambipom at a distant third place. So that is really the sad state of affairs for Ambipom, and hopefully Game Freak gives Ambipom some support, because Ambipom really needs support. Armadillo, do you have any commentary on that?
No, I agree. You've been looking through the newer gen move sets for Ambipom, and he still doesn't get any new moves.
The reason why we even look to the new gen movesets is because PokeMMO tends to let us inherit those movesets, so it's good to know what the new movesets are. Hopefully Game Freak is a bit nicer to Ambipom as the years go by, and I'm really looking forward to that day when Ambipom can be able to be proud of its moveset, but for now, Ambipom, I'm sorry, you are at a distant third place. So, sorry Ambipom. Hopefully this video is not hateful. And maybe the pinned comment, if Game Freak is nicer to Ambipom, we could be able to put that there so that we can have that decent to good moveset, and then who knows, maybe Ambipom might outperform Cinccino. But for now, Cinccino is second place, and Ambipom is a distant third place. So, with that, Armadillo, do you have any more commentary about this?
I think you pretty much covered everything. I can't say anything that you haven't already said.
And with that, we're going to go ahead and sign off. Armadillo, thank you so much for being a part of the Roy Rogers News Channel.
Thank you. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, you too. I'm going to let you bury back into the ground there, like how armadillos do that. Alright, anyways, this is the Roy Rogers News Channel. Don't forget to comment and subscribe to the channel, like the content that you hear, and this is Roy Rogers News Channel signing off. Fast, goodbye, Rogers News.